and welcome to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, your host, and we have a great show today. We're talking with someone I've actually known of for quite a long time, but I think this may be the first face-to-face conversation, or at least not in years. We're talking with Kathy Hoekstra, who is Development Communications Officer at the Pacific Legal Foundation. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. Great to be here.
Well, I'm glad. Well, what is the Pacific Legal Foundation?
Well, Pacific Legal Foundation is the nation's foremost public interest, pro-liberty, nonprofit law firm in the country. Formed in 1993 with 3 people and a small budget in Sacramento, California. We're now a nationwide firm of 150 plus people living across the country. We sue the government when the government violates people's constitutional rights. And we win everywhere from courts at all levels across the country, municipal courts, state courts, and the United States Supreme Court, where we're 18-2.
Well, you say you're the foremost. I know a local Michigan group that might want to dispute you on that, the Mackinac Center. And you used to work for the Mackinac Center.
Yeah, I did. Going way back, we discussed this off air for old radio and local television news for many years up in Midland, Flint, Bay City, Saginaw, in that market, and stayed there. Mackinac Center, of course, is located in Midland. I spent 3 years working there. And then flash forward with the journo by trade, I started doing stories on Pacific Legal Foundation for another nonprofit liberty movement organization, watchdog.org, and I was writing about regulatory policy, and I bumped into PLF, and we can talk a lot about what we do, because up until pretty recently, when we really started building out our communications teams and all that, we didn't have a lot of awareness. One of those Supreme Court wins was originated in Michigan, Midland, Michigan. We can talk about that. But flash forward, they were looking for writers, and I said, "Oh, I can totally do that." So here I am. So that was starting 2017, and I'm still at PLF. It's terrific.
You mentioned Midland. Did you live in Midland?
I did not. I live in the Saginaw area. I live in Saginaw Township, which I came to this area. I'm from Gaylord, Grand Rapids, Gaylord, by way of all these things. But anyway, I stayed there that's where I was working. That's where the radio station and TV station that I worked at, NBC 25, worked there for a lot of years. And, after that, pretty much in Midland, everything after that, I work remotely from my home.
Well, I know a little bit about Midland. In 1962, my parents moved to Midland when I was 9 years old, and I went to high school there. My mother passed away in 23, lived in the same house for 60 years, and was still driving and still living independently and in Midland. So believe me, I'm an old Midland guy.
Well, I do want to just add on one more thing real quick. The Mackinac Center Legal Foundation. I was working there in 2008 when they launched the firm, and I was so proud to be a part of that. And the very first case that we did was the one about the union dues skim of home daycare providers. So all of the organizations in this orbit on the national scale, like Pacific Legal Foundation. Some people might recognize the names, Heritage Foundation or Cato Institute, other law firms like Institute for Justice. And then at the state level, like the Mackinac Center and state level think tanks like them all across the country, we are all allies. We all have a North Star. And
that would be?
Defending individual liberty.
Individual liberty.
Individual liberty.
Yes. Now,
and all of the policy things that go along with that.
Exactly. Yeah. Now back to Midland, because I'm sorry, I got it.
That's fine.
One of your biggest wins was called the Rapanos case. Now, I knew John Rapanos.
Okay.
And I knew of that. And in my days of writing columns, the Rapanos case, that's how back it goes. We talked about that. So, and I knew John Rapanos. I grew up. So tell me. What the PLF does, who do you sue, property rights, administrative law, how does that work?
Absolutely. Well, so we do have a series of issue-specific areas. Property rights really has been the bread and butter since day one. But then over the years, we have built out what we call equality and opportunity practice group. And all of these, we have teams of lawyers who this is kind of their area of specialty, right?
Lots of lawyers.
And lots of lawyers, but we also have a very robust supporting cast of capabilities. We have strategic research. They put together original reporting and research on things that help support the litigation. Constitutional national scholarship. We get together and we get the top legal minds from all over to help write papers for law reviews and all that. So that's the academy, the legal academy, giving them the intellectual firepower. We've started building up as well federal and state level legal policy and legislative policy, where we help give again all of this intellectual firepower as well to the policymakers, the administrative agencies, legislators, state level.
Legislators, yes.
If they've got a bill, But back to the practice groups real quick. So property rights, equality and opportunity, separation of powers, and just a couple weeks ago, we launched a brand new whole area of litigation. It's energy and natural resources. So that is, the idea behind that is you hear a lot about the abundance agenda, sort of to basically unleash energy exploration and energy production in the country. Well, our focus is that and then some, because we believe, access to energy and all of that makes the difference between poverty and prosperity.
Well, we're going to need more of it with AI, because
100%.
if we're going to hopefully take and definitely keep leadership, we're going to need a lot of power.
Absolutely, and we need to have the all of our government to not do things that violate people's rights, but also get in the way of the potential that we have when people have the individual liberty. The property owners, et cetera, landowners, businesses do have the ability without government unnecessarily and unfairly and unlawfully getting in the way. That's where we come in.
Well, we're going to need the power one way or another, because it's no fun when you in the middle of the winter when the lights don't come on because the windmills weren't going.
Yeah, I know, right? And the sun, when the snow is sitting on top of all the solar panels, that's really hard.
It's not like that ever happens here, does it?
Never.
Or when it's cloudy. Now, question about Pacific, the
Sure.
term Pacific Legal Fund, I started thinking of California or Oregon, but you're not, you're nationwide.
Right. Well, like I said, we started in Sacramento, and
A very good place to start.
a very good place to start. Well, we actually were founded in part by former staffers of then Governor Ronald Reagan, of California, who looked around and started seeing the government and special interest groups having legal representation, but there wasn't anybody representing the average everyday American against the government policies. And this was also around the time the Clean Water Act came into being in 1972, the Endangered Species Act, there were Clean Air Act, all of these huge federal statutes were starting to come to in existence, and along with it, enforcement, regulations, and again, the special interests of that, as well as the government, had legal representation who could go fight. But the everyday American, who's the one being regulated, a lot of times, without actually knowing what's going on or how they're not even complying, there's nobody for that. So Governor Reagan said, we need something. We need something for the little guy to be able to fight back, and that's how we came into being. And Pacific is in the name, but national is what we do.
Because I was going to say, and we'll get into this a little bit later,
Sure.
the relevance to Michigan, and
Yes.
there is some definite, and we will get into that. But I got a question. Bureaucracy. This all came up with bureaucracy. Is administrative law really lawful? There's a book by a guy named Philip Hamburger, believe it or not.
Yes.
And I've actually gone.
My husband has read it. It's a huge book.
Recommend
He's
it.
given. Well, I haven't read it yet, but
It's like Sowell's Economics.
There's- there is a small version of it. I think he did after a few years realize, okay, this is humongous, and I don't think at the time you could get it on Kindle. It would use up all your memory anyway. It's as big as Atlas Shrugged. And
Bigger.
It is big. But there is a truncated version as well that's
Well, you can
out there.
truncate Atlas Shrugged by taking the 100-page speech out of it, which no one ever reads.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and Philip Hamburger, actually, he founded or co-founded another public interest law firm. It's NCLA, National, I can't remember, Administrative
That'll
Law.
work. The thing is, though, is the very idea of bureaucracies making their own laws and running their own court system actually itself constitutionally unsupportable.
Well, we would say running its own court system, like the administrative agency adjudications, in a lot of cases, no. That is actually one of the sort of initiatives of our separation of powers group. We actually have many lawsuits out there right now challenging federal agencies of their in-house tribunals. So if anybody's listening or watching and wants to know, pacificlegal.org, I'll remind you of that a few times because you can just go on and just see all of this. And then in terms of administrative agencies consistently breaching the guardrails of statute. And some of that is Congress not doing its job over the years, leaving too many things ambiguous.
Yeah.
Some of it is the agencies themselves, the enforcement agencies that will just again step over the bounds of what they do, and we can get into some of these. And when we talk about Rapanos and the Environmental Protection Agency and his battle, that's a primary example of a little bit of both, actually. Congress and the administrative state and the courts, and what the problem was, like all three of those it was a perfect storm of giving regulators the ability to really abuse the statutes like Clean Water Act and Endangered Species Act to seize more power, to seize more land, or more control over private property and things like that. So,
are you trying to tell me that bureaucrats and administrators will try and seize more power whenever they can?
I mean,
are you serious?
Yes.
The people, really? Who knew? Yeah. So up in, we'll just take a quick question here because we're going to run out of time for the segment, but.
Sure.
On a thermometer, the worst, the best. How are we doing right now? Is Musk and Doge making any difference at all, or did Musk get mad and go away?
Well, I mean, that's a really interesting question because one of the things that people may not know about, some of the inside baseball about what Doge was doing and the whole effort, when they first came up, went into DC and said, okay, we need to root out things. The Doge team reached out to all kinds of organizations, all kinds of, people in different sectors that represented, stakeholders, I guess, in all of the places that they wanted to look at. So, they reach out to a lot of organizations, like ours, saying, "Hey, what do you guys think? Where's the waste, fraud, and abuse?
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef?" And
or the pork.
Collectively, they, like a lot of people had a lot of input that said, "Oh my gosh, we've been fighting this for years. Here, look at this." We were a little different because we don't look into waste, fraud, and abuse, but it's still. We had, they're like, hey, let's, do you have anything? What do you guys recommend? So we do that a lot too. We file a lot of rulemaking petitions and things like that too, to try to help the agencies guide them under the constitutional.
Do they want to be
umbrella.
guided?
Absolutely. I think they definitely wanted to be guided.
No, they want to be. Really? They didn't just want to say, "Oh, yeah, we'll guide ourselves. Thank you very much."
Yeah, it was a matter of, hey, you tell us what should we be looking at?
Goodness.
Okay, so here we've got here. Look at this. And like I said, I don't know, all of the organizations and everything, but there were tons of them. My husband's organization, Capital Research Center, which they actually do. What they do is follow the money in politics and things. So
we need to do that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break here because we're going to get a little segment here, and then we'll come right back. We're talking with Kathy Hoekstra from the Pacific Legal Foundation, and what's going on. After all, it's your money as well. I'm Chuck Moss. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on Eye on Oakland.
At Bloomfield Community Television, we believe that every community has a unique story to tell. A story of its people, its vision, and its future. Our mission? To help you tell it.
Good evening, soccer fans, and welcome to Birmingham Oklahoma High School. I'm Brad.
Difference. A zoom lens allows you to take and
now, here's Franklin.
Welcome back to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, host. We're talking with Kathy Hoekstra, Development Communications Officer at the Pacific Legal Foundation. Don't let the Pacific fool you. They are nationwide. I would say bad and nationwide, but I think they're probably pretty good. Well, congratulations are in order for you guys. You made Instapundit, which is my favorite website of all, INSTA and then Pundit. And if you make Insta, you are doing really well, and you were in it today for the
I didn't even see that.
unconstitutionality of law school accreditation.
Oh, yeah, indeed. That is
Someone who went to law school.
as somebody. Well, you'll have to, again, go to pacificlegal.org. We just, our strategic research team put together just a top-notch report. Like, they scoured the accreditation
So give us the 25
process.
words or less version.
Well, it is, again, you're seeing this like before I am. The report, and I'm trying to remember.
I mean, I've actually scooped. This is
you
amazing.
scooped me that,
When do I ever do this?
that it's on Instapundit. But essentially, I'm trying to remember the actual
May I?
thing. Go for it.
If I may.
Yeah, you understand it
I'll
more than
ask you
me.
the question here is that, law schools, like most other colleges, have to be accredited. So we know that it isn't Chuck Moss's law school and we're wasting people's time. The accreditation is done by the American Bar Association. The American Bar Association is an old institution that has been captured by interest groups. We don't need to get into that. And they have changed the accreditation not just for how much law and how much practice you know, but other issues involving, identity and race and all that stuff. And is that violate the Constitution about race-neutral stuff? According to latest thing from Pacific Legal Foundation, they do violate that, and that's not good.
Well, so you said it better than I could. Well, I appreciate that.
Goodness. Well,
Yeah.
you can come back anytime.
Yeah, well, there you go. Again, you can read the whole report on pacificlegal.org. But that does actually even tie in just a hair to a case that we're litigating right now in Michigan. And it is about mandatory implicit bias training in medical licensing in Michigan. So
Really?
This came about a couple months after, in 2020, a couple months after the George Floyd thing, and Governor Whitmer issued a couple of executive orders, basically ordering our licensing agency, LARA, to mandate implicit bias training in all medical training. And so this is for in order to get your license and in order to renew it, and it covers every healthcare field in the state that needs a license to do business, except for veterinarians, right? So, and it is, it's viewpoint discrimination. It's got a lot of constitutional problems. Viewpoint, because you're basically forcing people as a condition of your right to earn a living. As a condition of that, you have to take a course that has nothing to do with your
You
field.
have to pass the course to and satisfy the instructor
Correct.
that you have the proper ideological attitude.
100%. So there's viewpoint discrimination. There's
Welcome to the
interference.
Soviet Union.
Interference with somebody's right to earn a living without undue government interference. So we launched a case earlier this year on behalf of Dr. Kent Wildern, who is a now retired dentist. Of course, dentistry's covered too, and he's a retired dentist from West Michigan who also spent his entire professional career. He had his own practice. He also did pro bono dentistry work at local clinics and things like that. And he was nearing retirement age. He wanted to keep his license active so he could continue to do the charity work while in retirement. And he looked at this. He said, I'm not doing this. I don't believe in any of this stuff. Why should I have to do this? So he just decided.
I fix teeth.
I fix teeth. I fix teeth. I don't fix, social justice agendas. So he said, nope, that's it. And we got in touch with him, and we have a lawsuit right now.
Yeah, I mean, how does that help people get their teeth fixed, or poor people get their teeth fixed?
That's exactly it.
So how do you decide what cases to take?
Well, boy, that's a really good question. We do
you.
we do a lot of things. Basically, it is we look at the constitutionality of name your topic. Whether it's implicit bias training in medical, whether it is a property rights thing. We just look at all. We keep an eye on the courts. We keep an eye on the media. We've got, again, our researchers, our attorneys are super entrepreneurial, and they will go look for things if they have an issue. Sometimes we have something that we believe violates the Constitution, and it needs to be fixed for now and for succeeding generations. Sometimes people come to us and say, hey, I have this issue going on. Can you look into it? And if we find that A, the constitutional issue, and B, the client, then we go ahead and sue. And when our clients, so we basically empower our clients. We provide free legal representation to our clients. And again, as a nonprofit, that's what we do. We represent our clients for free when the government violates their rights. So when our clients are empowered and they win, they vindicate their own rights. But the key here for us at PLF is that they protect everybody else's rights too. So yes, Chuck, we represent you. We have successfully helped you defend your constitutional, property right or whatever.
Birmingham has a law, or an ordinance that you can't have more than 3 dogs without a kennel license.
Oh my goodness.
At one point I had 4.
Wow. So let's say we took you on. We said, hey, we represent you.
He was a rescue. He needed a home.
And you win. Well, you just vindicated your own rights. Now you have the right to, have your kennel or whatever. But you also protected everybody else in Birmingham.
How about chickens?
Chickens. That's our another case we just launched
Michigan
recently.
case.
Yes, nice segue, Chuck. You're good at this. You might have this broadcasting thing. You might have a future in it.
Lots of luck with that, huh?
So yeah, this is a case over in Douglas, Michigan, which is sort of a sister city, right, with Saugatuck,
yeah.
right? So it's in an RT town, very very, lots and lots of seasonal residents, but. Basically, Kathy Sarkeesian, whose actually family is from around here. Birmingham? Anyway, somewhere around this area. But her family always had a presence over there, property and homes.
Yeah, that
and
was
things.
a cottage. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, she's been living over there since her father passed away. She lives with her husband and her 94-year-old mother. Beautiful, nice little yard. And in 2023 or 2020, actually, the city. Put on the books a chicken ordinance. They were getting people saying, I want to raise backyard chickens. And Kathy's very, very into healthy, organic, and so she applied. And the process is you apply you just have to apply. Follow the rules. You have to make sure you have a fence. You got to make sure the coop is, they've got those standards. And only hens, and you can only have up to 6 hens. Kathy's like, okay.
Okay, wait a minute. Slow down here.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. So, first of all, it's not like they had, I think in Birmingham it says you can't have chickens. Okay, have chickens at all.
Correct.
Now, that we don't even get into that. But it isn't that they said you can't have chickens. It said you can have chickens, but you have to go
You have to do these things. One other thing is the city, when you turn in that application.
But if you've only got hens and no
Yeah.
roosters, you can't have eggs.
No, you can.
Where do you get?
They don't get fertilized. You just have eggs.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know the biology of it, but the point is,
I guess my observation laid an egg here.
there you go. You got egg on your face, or I have egg on my face.
nothing to
I don't know
crow
how
about.
hens work. So they
You don't want to know.
you hand in the application, and then the city is supposed to, within 10 days of you handing in the application, 10 business days, they are supposed to send a notice to every adjacent property owner saying, how do you guys feel about this? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And which is okay, I can kind of see that. But if they don't like it, if the neighbor says, oh no, I don't want this, I don't want chickens next door, it states in the law. That's it. There is no right to appeal. And that's what happened to Kathy.
Okay, let me ask another question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I live in Birmingham. Let's say we had the same kind of ordinance.
Okay.
And I live at my house on my street, and I want to have chickens. Okay, and one of my neighbors says, yeah, I don't like chickens, and that's the end of that. But someone who lives 2 blocks away, does this not seem like equal justice? It seems like it's a very ad hoc way to go about it.
Well, kind of. I mean, I guess they're saying, all right, well, these are just the neighbors who are adjacent. My property touches your property line. So those are the ones who get to weigh in. And it's a neighbor veto, which is crazy in and of itself. But And that is one of the things we're litigating. But the other part, no right to appeal. So the next door, and that's exactly what happened with Kathy, although the city messed up and actually didn't even send out the notices to neighbors until after they approved her permit.
She already had the
which is a problem. She's got the chickens. She spent $23,000 on a really nice chicken coop and a chicken run. And, they built out on their backyard.
You'd be better off having the
fences.
dogs. Yeah.
The one neighbor, she only has two, adjacent neighbors. One guy doesn't care. He's right next door. The other one is next door on the other side, more than 100 feet away from her chicken. She's got a huge fence, trees, can't see it.
Still doesn't like the chickens.
She doesn't like the chickens. The city belatedly sent out the notices. The neighbor said, oh no, it's a husband and wife that live next door.
After she had already spent the money.
Spent the money and got the permit approved.
And so they yanked.
The neighbor, okay, this gets complicated.
Okay, so the constitutional issue is?
The constitutional issue is you can't give a neighbor a right to have a say or have control over what you do with your private property, at least without the
due process.
You need the due process rights. So she's like, I can't even appeal this. I've spent all this money. And on top of that, when the city finally got around to, let's go back one thing.
And it's not one size fits all. Ordinance.
Exactly. The neighbor next door is a seasonal neighbor. They're only there pretty much from Memorial Day through Labor Day. They live in Illinois. They're not even there the whole year.
Yeah, they live in Illinois. Now, if they live in Ohio, I could see avoiding it instead of sea.
Turning the chickens loose in Ohio. Yeah. Boy. Anyway, so then there's also fines. The city enforcement. This is for violating. They came to her.
For violating the chicken ordinance.
For violating the chicken ordinance.
They
said you got to get rid of your chickens, or we're going to fine you up $300 a day. She's now on the hook for more than almost $80,000 if the city were to win, and she's doesn't. But we jumped in, and they took her to the city took her to state court, and then that's where we jumped in. We filed a federal lawsuit. The state court. They withdrew everything out of state court while we're fighting the federal court. So Kathy,
So she win.
Well, so far we're fighting it in federal federal lawsuit for the constitutional.
So the bottom line is, you have your property, and there should be rules, and you should know what the rules are, and you should be able to play with them.
Exactly. You should be able to appeal when a neighbor says, what's next? You can't grow a vegetable garden until your neighbor says it's okay. You can't grill in your backyard. You can't put up a swing set for you. These are the types of things we clamp down on it now, and then we protect everybody else's rights from stuff like that.
So in other words, individual people, normal people who would keep chickens, can have their own rights, and it'll be vindicated. You don't have to be General Dynamics or something to have a seat at the table.
Right. Yep.
That's very good. What's coming up? Before we run out of time, what's on your agenda coming forward?
Well, lots of things. Of course, we always have tons of cases in all of our practice areas. But I want to encourage people to go to our website, pacificlegal.org, because it's summer, it's a little bit slower.
We're going to put pacificlegal.org.
It's a little bit slower in terms of litigation, but we have a lot of online webinars that we're doing. One, as a matter of fact, we have one tomorrow, and the list is going to escape me. We have another one. We've got a lot of them this week. We have one introducing our energy and natural resources practice group. That's on Thursday. We have one on, economic liberty, birth centers that with laws, certificates of need laws. We have a Supreme Court preview webinar on July 30th. So we've got a lot of this. I would suggest going to that, and you can really get a flavor of what we do. And then you can read about cases like the chicken ordinance and
what you do is vindicate basically normal people's rights.
Absolutely. Everyday Americans who never thought that they would ever be in a situation that they would be suing the government. But we empower them to do that with our free representation.
Well, and the Constitution means what it says, whether you're, not to pick on General Dynamics, or whether you're General Dynamics, or whether you're just the guy next door. Well, thank you for coming in and talking to us about it. And who knows, maybe if I ever end up with that many dogs again, we'll give you a call.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Kathy Hoekstra, who is the Development Communications Officer at the Pacific Legal Foundation, which is nationwide, not just Pacific. Yeah. I'm Chuck Moss, and thank you for joining us here on Eye on Oakland.